Hey, look at that. We're in the new place. Isn't that crazy? That's what this is about. You know, maybe if I didn't have such giant ears, then I might have been able to actually wear this at 100% scale. But you know, it kind of just goes in my thing, and then I got all these I gotta wear, and it just gets in the way. But you know, we're gonna show you in this video how to make this. Yeah, there goes my cat. I got the other one too. So let's get started on how to make this. I'm still really proud of this, despite the fact that the eyes don't match up with the nose, because it was my first time working with magnets on a thing, and the magnets aren't flush with the surface. That's besides the point. And I also like the fact that I made this before X-Men '97 came out, and before X-Men was the cool thing. So I like to think I'm somewhat of a prophet. But anyways, in this video, we're going to be going through the steps on how I made this cowl. From the 3D files, to how I printed it, what I printed them on, and one of the real reasons as to why I didn't scale this up after printing to fit my head. Spoiler alert, I didn't have my Elgu at the time, so it was just the K1. So I had to print both of these on the K1, and it did a great job. But anyways, let's get on with the video. So first of all, we're going to talk about the 3D file. So here we are on Dio 3D, and we have the X-Men Wolverine Classic Helmet Mask Cowl number 896. Cool. My major problem with this file, and you can see it on the finished product and on here, there's no eye covers, right? So your eyes are showing through this, which, you know, depending on your desired look, could be cool and all, but and for sitting on the shelf like I have it, I don't really mind. But if you're gonna wear it out and you want that comic accurate look, you want the white eyes. So let me show you a better option that they have. So this is the better file, and I wish I saw this, or I don't even know if it was out when I bought it. But this has a texture on the helmet, on the cowl. It's pretty much the exact same file, except, like I said, this one has a texture and it has eye covers. And you can actually print that. So I don't know if you could print, I don't know. But anyways, so this is a bit of a better file. So, but really, whichever one you choose to print, it'll be the same. Not really anything different. So let's move on to how I printed it. So here we are in Creality Print. Because like I said in the intro, I did use the K1 to print this helmet, but you can see that it thinks it's too big for the K1, but it's wrong. So we're gonna hit center, and if you simply, and because the K1 is so small, you don't really have much options, so we're going to just rotate this a little bit to like that, and then you're going to drag it over, and then it fits. It fits on the K1. So other than that, you might want to rotate this so the back part is on the build plate. So we're gonna have constant contact, and it'll make the print much more likely to actually survive if both ends of this are touching the build plate. Because as this builds up, then this is going to need more support, and it might tip over if it's hovering above the build plate. Whereas this needed a lot more support, and because it's such a small area of contact. However, if you have a bigger printer, then I would recommend printing it upside down. Because if you print this upside down, there's not much detail you're going to lose here. The only area I'd be concerned about losing detail would be these lines here, right? But I feel like if you print it like this, you're going to not have any support going on those detail lines. So either way, I do think this would have been a much better way to print it if you have that option. But if you don't, like I didn't at the time, then you're going to print it like this, generating supports all along this. It could be normal tree supports, pick your poison. Just get it printing, and it'll work out perfectly fine. So let's talk about these wings, as they're called in the files. So these are going to be probably the easiest part to print on a printer of this size, because since it's so relatively small, we have a lot of room to play. But really, all we need to worry about is making sure that this bottom part obviously is well supported, because there's no flat edges. You can't lay this flat in any way. So making sure that the supports all line up around here, and this under flap that I imagine, if you scale this correctly, this would be where your ears would go. And yeah, that's kind of where that lines up around here. So your ears would go back there. So it needs to be supported up in here with your tree supports or your normal supports, whichever you prefer. Sanding sucks. Nobody likes to do it, but here we are. We have to do it anyways. Starting off with a low medium grit of like 180, because the prints come out so smooth. This print is pretty relatively flat surfaces / the big main dome piece. Not a lot of crazy details you need to get into with your hands or something like that. So as long as you take whatever steps you usually do with filling out your layer lines, then do that and we'll be ready to move on to the next step. So before, I like to use the U-Pol or the Bondo mixed with acetone and brush that on, but I discovered recently from a prop maker whose name I cannot remember right now. I'll put a link. I'll put his name right over here, and I'll put a link in the description for him. He uses this modeling paste that's like really cool. And he mixes it with water. I don't like it, so I mix it with acetone, and because I feel like it gets it a lot runnier when it's in acetone, so it makes it brush over more. So that's what we're gonna do. So this right here is the best thing I can describe as similar to the Bondo, like I said, or resin smoothing. So as long as you just take a paintbrush and just dip it in and brush it on nice thin coats at a time. You don't want anything to get too thick, because then it won't cure properly, and then you have a bigger mess in your hands. The only problem with this method right here is because the modeling paste is water soluble, you can't wet sand it. So if you intend on wet sanding, then you either need to pile on some primer afterward, or you just need to not use this Liquitex modeling paste. Use Bondo or the U-Pol or wood filler for that matter. So it's actually kind of wild. Because of the great print quality of the K1, the parts were already pretty smooth, but I didn't even use filler primer on it. I just used regular satin gray primer because I didn't have any filler primer. But it's because of that combination of the modeling paste, the acetone, and the sanding. This is only up to like a 400 grit, and it's so smooth. Yeah, there are a couple areas I could touch up, like mainly like around these corners and such, and in this little square, but also underneath the eyes. But I don't care. So, because no one's people are gonna look at it a little bit, but mainly they're gonna focus on the main dome here. I'll focus right on that dead center. They're gonna get a little bit of that eye action, but also this really flaps the big part. So I'm gonna hit it with its first base coat of paint. We're gonna use the Krylon Satin Black. I need to do some testing because I might also hit it with a matte clear coat, mainly because these are separate from the dome, so I don't have to worry about masking off what's gonna be yellow. So let's see what happens. Pretty good, and it's not like I said, it's not a gloss. You can see the reflection of the phone in it, man. It's not a gloss black. It's just wet right now. Obviously, I just sprayed it, but you can't get much smoother than that. I might wet sand it with 600 grit. I might, but we'll see how it turns out. Now I want to figure out the yellow, because I gotta put this somewhere. You see a bag behind me. I went to Hobby Lobby, and I bought these airbrush kits. Not that I already have the brush, but these paint kits, right? So these are transparent paints. So I imagine that they're going to be a lot thinner, and it's going to act more of like a tint, kind of like a metal cast paint. But I also bought these, which is just regular airbrush paint, not, I assume. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna mix a little bit of red into the yellow, because I want it to be like a darker yellow, almost like an orange, but still leaning toward the yellow. If it's too dark, I'll hit it with this transparent yellow. We'll see what that does, but I need to do some testing before I put it on the actual part. So as you can see, I had a little bit of an accident while I was mixing my paints together. But I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go straight for the yellow. I don't know if this is gonna work. I thinned the paint out enough so it's not gonna clog the airbrush, at least not as easily. So we're just gonna go for it and see what happens. Worst case scenario, I sand it all down and then gotta redo it again, so. Here's the thing about airbrushing. It really deserves its own video, and I'm not the kind of person to make it at the moment. So really, the only things you need to be aware of are make sure that your paint is thin enough. If I was you, I would go up to a higher nozzle slash needle diameter, because when you come with a stock airbrush, I'm pretty sure it's a 0.1, but to paint large surfaces like this cowl, it'd be a lot better if you use the 0.5 or even a 0.7. I'm kind of remembering these numbers off the top of my head, but you need a bigger nozzle and a bigger needle, because that will help make sure the paint doesn't clog, and it'll help cover a wider surface area. So it'll just helps you save time, really. So after completely riding the struggle bus for a while, we got to where we kind of want to be, right? Okay, so this is kind of how we're rocking. It's a little high. It's not a high gloss, but it is glossy, which I think actually looks kind of good against the black. If I can, I don't really want to line it up right now because it's still kind of wet. This paint cures really slow, and I don't know why. I think it might be because, as you can hear, it's raining outside, and so it's kind of increasing the humidity in the air. Maybe that's what's keeping it so wet for longer, but I don't know. I guess I can do that one. Yeah, I like how this is really starting to come out. That's such a good combo. So we need to get the magnets in, and we need to figure out the eye situation. I could just leave it empty, but this is a display piece, not something I'm gonna wear. So what we're probably gonna do is get some acetate and line it up, either glue it in or duct tape it in, and then just paint it white, because like I said, I don't really want to see out of it. But yeah, this was the way to go. This was very much the way to go. It is cold as fuck in here, out here. So I'm gonna make this fast because I just came back from the gym. We got the magnets in. So these connect via these magnets, and they don't line up the best. I'm not sure if that's a fault with the model or maybe just the fact that my magnet placement's a bit off, but like there's a gap there. It's a display piece, I don't care. So we're gonna press on. It's a little too clean, but God, it'll look great. So to give it a little bit more realism and depth, I'm gonna take some oil paint, black oil paint, thin it out with some mineral spirit into something that's like this. So then we're gonna just simply brush it on and wipe it off with a paper towel, so it'll get in the nooks and the crannies. It'll get in the brow line right here, in these little detail lines, and all around here. Right over here, I'm not sure if you can see it, but where the overhang's got a little wonky. I don't care. If I was wearing this to a con, then I'd care, but since I'm not, I don't care. So we're just gonna press on and weather the helmet. Also, because the helmet was painted in acrylics, the Wicked Colors acrylics, I know it's not going to thin out with mineral spirit, so that's why I'm using oil paint instead of an acrylic wash, because I'm nervous that if I use an acrylic wash, then it would wash away some of the paint. Just throwing that out there.
Honestly, when it comes to this step, there is no wrong way to do it. Just take the paint, spread it across the helmet, and then wipe it off before it has a chance to dry in random streaks. You could even dab it if you have like a rag or a washcloth that doesn't have a texture to it. Then that's kind of what you would do there, but wiping it away works just as fine.
We're still good. Oh wow, look at that. Oh, ain't that nice? Just that little bit right there. Give a little bit more depth. Ooh, and I was gonna do the rest of it. Take a look at that. It's so good. Just general dirt got stuck in all the crevices where it needed to be. I love how it got in those brow lines. That's probably the best part, in my opinion. So, but the problem is now that the sides, the ears, whatever the hell you want to call these things, they're too neat, they're too clean. So, I imagine that while this is somewhat cloth material, there is some metal part in it, because how else are these going to stay as pointy and solid as they do? So, with a small brush that has relatively stiff bristles and is relatively small, I'm going to take some silver rub and buff, and I'm just going to bring it. I'm just gonna brush it on all the the sharp edges where where the paint would typically go away and be revealed to be the metal. So that is what we're gonna do. But remember, when you're using rub and buff, use it sparingly. A little bit goes a long way with this stuff.
Once again, when it comes to the rub and buff, the way I could see it is when you look at something that's made of metal in the real world, and it has paint over it, you notice that the sharp edges of that tend to wear out first, and then whatever somebody or some people are just touching over and over again to wear off the paint, right? So I really focused on those sharp corners and where somebody would go to take off the cowl around the high ridge point, which just once again happened to be a sharp edge. So really just pay attention. Hey, see where the person might have fallen, where Wolverine might have fallen, and then he's got the paint scraped off a little bit. So just tell a story with the weathering. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so here we are with the rub and buff. I had to stop myself because I was just really enjoying how this was coming out, but don't want too much. I think I might have done a little, just a little too much, but you'll see I only got it in those sharp edges around here, especially on these tips. These tips, I imagine, will get super battle damaged first. I did a little bit on the main helmet. I got in these recesses right here, a lot on the nose. I did a little bit on these on these indents, but and some on the rear back here. But other than that, you can't tell me that this doesn't look good. I just wish that this little gap here closed, but like I said, it's gonna be sitting on a shelf looking down. I'm not gonna notice, no one's gonna notice, but Wow. So yeah, that was pretty much like all the work I did on this build. It was a pretty simple one. Just the yellow, the wash, the ears. I just wish like I said, I got these noses to go together, but we all know that's just not gonna happen. So no reason to dwell on something as small as that. But I'm still super proud of it, like I've said, and I hope this has inspired you guys to work on this yourself, knowing that it's so simple. I'll see you guys in the next one, which might be a little interesting.